What's going on, everybody? It is me once again. It is a Friday, April 30th, the last trading day of the week and of the month, actually. And it went a bit better for me today than it did yesterday, thankfully. We were seeing a little bit more continuation, some general momentum upwards today, which was really nice. Definitely was much needed after the uh, the emotional torment that was yesterday in the pop and drops. But we'll just do a review. I don't have anything else. I don't think to really discuss today. So we'll just start at the top. We'll do VXRT. Yeah, this is VXRT. It was the first ticker I traded today. Again, I waited to. I didn't trade the open. I didn't take anything in pre-market. I waited 10 to 15 after the market opened before I started to assess areas here. So at 8:43, which would have been right here, I said VXRT 976 down to 97. 976 down to 97. I called it right. Yeah, right here on this candle. And it eventually came down to fill me in full right here on this zone. And my stop loss was down here, 10 cents. And my profit target was high of the run. So you can see here, that's a good 40-cent upside to a 10-cent downside. Pretty good, especially in the open here. The move was super clean. You look at the trend that we're looking at here, and it's something like that, right? That's pretty solid trend. On these shorter time frames, like the 1 minute charts, like it's okay on the 10-minute chart to kind of see a more sharp uptrend. But on these like short time frames, 1 minute, I obviously use a 2 minute. But when you're seeing really sharp uptrends on these short time frames, I don't actually like that. I feel more pessimistic the sharper the trend. Now these wider time frames is a little different. As you can see here, VXRT generally trended up the whole day, but it wasn't like this, right? It was, some. I like to see the lows of the next chunk of trend come down to the highs of the previous chunk. You see what I mean? So it's like came down to here, which is the highs of the previous. This came down to here, highs of the previous. Those are really safe, healthy moves, right? Great pullback back to previous highs before we take off, as opposed to just BTX. I'll show you later is a good example of a move that is more a little bit riskier because the downside is more significant due to the fact that the trend is just so sharp. Anyways, so over here, filled my zone in full. I did descending bids. This is a 6-cent zone. It filled me in full. My max risk was my stop loss down here, and that was at this previous price action here. Now, if you look, the reason I made my zone where I did was because you can see that one right here, this one right here, the wicks of these two essentially, the body of these two here. You go all the way back, it actually even extends further than that. So 976 was an area that I felt good about simply because of the the pre-market action that had taken place. In order for the move to come all the way down to my stop loss, it would have had to have forfeited the trend in such a way that all of the pre-market price action was no longer used as support. And that's pretty big. I mean, pre-market usually is a pretty sizable support. I like to see stocks at the open come to pre-market highs, especially when my favorite stocks are ones that kind of sell off. They set a high like here or something, and then they come down a little bit, and then they take off for the day because it dips back to that pre-market high since it was pretty low, just like this one. dips to that are usually bought up a lot stronger. Now, if it's like making highs of the day, like all-time highs in the pre-market or something, it's very unlikely for it to go all the way up and then reuse that support again from the pre-market levels. So just something that I pay attention to. But yeah, it came down here, as you can see. Beautiful action. Filled me in great right here. Filled me in full. Closed right here in conjunction with VWAP. You can see that it stayed above VWAP. My stop down here below where the 20 was, which I felt like worst case scenario, the 20 could act as some semblance of support. So I had all the pre-market levels, the 20, all of that stuff, as potential, like all of those have to fail for my stop to get hit, right? Does that make sense? So it's nice that there's like a lot of there's multiple levels of things that have to go wrong in order for my stop to get taken out, which is good, because that gives me a little bit more obviously faith that my stop loss is not going to get hit, but it also means that that's a good risk assessment, and that I'm comfortable with having to stop that tight because of that. So a lot of good signs there. And obviously, like I said, the zone was based on pre-market level. As you can see, if I just put a line right here through all this pre-market stuff, my zone is right on top of it. And boom, it came down, tapped it, and continued to take this move to the upside. I actually took it to high the run right here, and I sold in full. And I got a quick 30 cents and some change to start the morning. It was a solid trade right off the morning. Pretty cool. I there's not a whole lot to say about that. As far as like the continuation aspect, generally in the morning I don't add or scale, just because until you're 30 minutes to an hour into the day, it's still pretty likely that you can see like volume kind of push the stock sporadically. So I generally just will take my profit targets in full. 40 cents, great move right there. Tight stop, real good defined risk. No reason for me to try to hold or scale back in on this dip, and especially because as you see, the action started working sideways, and I was actually a little concerned after this motion here on the 10. Again, the sharper the trend, the harsher it usually comes down, which is something important to remember just in general, because when I factor in my zones, I will look and be like, is this trend super sharp? Well, then I won't make a zone up here. I'll settle for a zone that I think is a little bit further down. BTX, I'll give you a good example later. But this trend was super sharp, sold off, respected VWAP, had it, continued to the upside here, we could have been talking about a good move, but it actually failed and then started to sell off. And I was like, oh no, is this another day like yesterday? But I moved off of this, excuse me, I moved off of this ticker until a little bit later in the day. I believe like right over here or something. I can't remember, but we'll see here in a minute. The next stock I traded was Pixie. It was a loser. It was a loser on the day. As you can see, here's a good example of what I was talking about, right? So when I was talking about the pre-market levels, now this is a pre-market level. It sold all the way off, and then it actually ended up being a resistance, right? So when stocks go pretty high, especially if it's like all-time highs and stuff in the pre-market, I think GRXT went all-time highs yesterday, or GRTX, what it was, whatever, I can't remember, and then it ended up fading all day. So I like it when the highs of the pre-market are at reasonable levels, and then price opens above that, and then can use that as the support. But you can see right here that it came up to pre-market highs, and then it literally sold off the entire rest of the day. So that sucks. That's pretty shit. But let's see where my move was. I'm actually not 100% sure. Looking in chat here. 381,371 on the rejection of 4. Okay. So I wanted 4 to reject, which it did. and then I wanted to get filled on 381 down to 371, and I wanted to get filled with anticipation of a retest and break of 4. Now again, it was rejecting off of its pre-market highs here, also at 4. So that's kind of a something I actually didn't even take into account when I was considering my zone. And it's something that maybe I should have paid a little bit closer attention to. But regardless, at what time was that at 8:44? 8:44, yeah. 381. On the rejection of 4, I'll take 381 down to 371. Which you can see were based off these wicks here. Would have been right here. So, for people who ask me to make my zones, I'm trying to be a little bit more clear about them. Using these wicks here, and then the bottom of the zone would have been using this body of this, and then you can come over here and look on the 10. That's a significant price level as well. So that's how I created the zone. Price went up to 4 and rejected and came down, and I added here with the anticipation, because remember I made this zone at 844. So right here I called this zone out. Price then came down and filled me. My stop was right below the 200 SMA actually, because I was like, oh man, it's a 200 SMA. I got the VWAP, the 20, and the 200, and a little bit over a 10-cent zone, and it obviously filled me. It rested here for a minute. It came up to here to VWAP, and then had a solid rejection. And while this was happening and I was getting stopped out, VXRT was also, like I said, was selling off. So I was like, oh no, I went into high alert after yesterday's pop and drops. Caught me off guard, and I didn't pick up on it as quickly as I should have. So yeah, that zone here, solid zone. I mean, based off of good levels in the pre-market. Now that pre-market high was obviously just enough of a stronger force to send it with continued action downwards. But not a terrible move. I got stopped out. I respected my stop, all that good stuff. With the crash of VWAP 20 and the 200, and the break of pre-market levels, I mean, that told me pretty much this would have been a great time to take a short right here, because you could see as it came up here and failed to get above that, that's just a telltale sign that after all those elements have failed, it's a stock that's going to get cheaper as the day goes on. Now, I'm not able to short very many tickers, very many small caps at least. So I generally don't play them to the short side. Large caps, I'll do on both sides, but I generally just only look for long entries on small caps in 99% of cases. So yeah, unfortunate stop out. Not a whole lot to say about that. I mean, it's pretty definitive. It didn't even like come up here and try. My profit target was actually going to be right at 4, and then at high of the day, and I already showed you my stop losses down here, and yeah, I got stopped out. So not a big deal. I moved right back over to VXRT, and this is actually when I started watching BTX as well. So VXRT, is this the wrong day? Yes. Oh, no, that's yesterday. Trust me, I remember that vividly. So VXRT, I came back to. I guess we should have just done these together, but it's all right. All right. Here it is. Much better. So yeah, as you can see, this was the rally in the morning, and then at 8:53, so it would have been right around here. So this is before it started selling off for the day. Like with this action here, this continued action that you see on the 10 and 5, before it then started trending all day. So I called my zone at 988 to 98, which would have been right here, down to 98. And if you want to see how those zones were made, you can come here and look. Base of this candle, top body of this candle, top wick of this candle. You can see how I make those zones based on those levels. All of these candles played a part. You see that here. But anyways, Actually, no, that would have been, yeah, those wouldn't have been formed yet. So I made it off of, let's see. Let's take it further back. What did I say? 988 down to 98. I forget what I make it based off of. Oh, wait, here you go. So 98 was these pre-market levels here, pre-market highs, similar to the previous move. And then, oh, base of this candle right here. Oh, no, couldn't have been. Oh, base of, here you go. Here you go. It's based off of these. So yeah, those candle bodies there were the top of my zone. This wick were the bottom of my zone. Sorry, I this all came after I called the zone, so I just wanted to clarify. I get a lot of questions and comments about like, how do I identify my zones? Is this some kind of secret? It's really not. It's easier than it. I think people might just be overcomplicating it. It's literally just based off of previous price levels in the day on the 10 and the 5. Sometimes wicks, sometimes bodies. Now figuring out which of those candles and bodies and wicks and things to use is something that I've just kind of gotten acclimated to over the 6 or 7 months or whatever that I built my method and practiced and tested and things like that. So, anyways, yeah, this was like a 30-minute long trade, and I'm not gonna bullshit you. I had a stop at 968 that literally just didn't get filled. Price came down to, you can see right there, 968, but it must have not come down like low enough for it to trigger my order. My first PT was 10. My second one was going to be 1007 because that was a key level in the day. Where was it? Yep. So 10 and 1007 is what I took my profit at, because you could see that right up here on the 10 especially, 1007 was a significant level up here. And I even said at one point, after this move came down and failed to tap me out and then skyrocketed back up, and I was like, oh shit, we're good. We're still in it. I'm just watching the move at this point because I was expecting to be stopped out, and I was already looking at other charts on my other screen. And then it came back up into my zone. I said, okay, you know what? Maybe we could just pretend none of that happened. And it moved up here to 10, and I immediately took profit after how long I was in this trade. And I held it for a little bit. It dipped back down, and I was like, you know what? I might add at 9.9 because this 9.8 to 9.9 level right here was just constantly back and forth. And I was like, there's a good chance that I could add at 9.9 or at 9.8 and take it to 9.9 and get it at 9.8 and just keep getting those 10-cent moves, right? Like I was just kind of paying attention to that because those levels are holding so sturdy. But the action back and forth is a little too quick for that to have been like decent defined trades. So obviously I didn't do it, but I was in this trade so long I was obviously growing bored. Anyways, it went up to 10. I scaled some. I considered adding, but I was like, no. After I saw this action down here, and I'm only in this trade because I didn't get stopped out on, something lucky. As soon as it went to 1007, which it did, right here, I sold in full. And I was like, all right, cool, I'm out. And then it broke 1007, broke down below 9.9, and started trading downwards for the rest of the day. So 2 VXRT plays paid, 1 Pixie trade did not. So I was 2 wins to 1 loss at this point in the day. And I believe that is when I went to work. Yes. Oh no. I did actually take up 1 BTX trade. Oh my god, did it really go to $70 in the aftermarket? I don't even know what to think about this ticker. Okay, cool. My levels are actually here from this morning, which is good, right? Because I want to show you how I got tapped in. I put a bid order, descending bids like I always do right here. And first I call my zone at 9 o'clock. So at 9 a.m. right here, yeah, price is up here, and I call my zone down here. And it traded like this, and I was like, all right, I'm never going to get filled. I had my orders up while I was currently in VXRT, just watching that and actively in that trade. And then I looked up, and all of a sudden I was in one of my bids got filled. And I was like, what the hell? And I saw that it had this huge wick tap me and then immediately went back up. So just with my fill, I was almost immediately in $2 move with hardly any shares, but still. And then it popped up right here, and I sold. And I was like, whoa, rather be lucky than good, you know. We'll take those. We take those. But it wasn't like a. I mean, it was like 50 shares or something. But yeah, that was a decent trade right there, kind of on accident. Um, I was expecting with my zone the trend to come down and fluctuate, kind of ebb and flow, like I like, right? I like to have like trends that are more wave like. But anyways, yeah, I there's not much more to say about that. I got exceptionally lucky on that one. Just the fact that it came down and filled my topmost order and then immediately got. I mean, this is a 2 minute candle, right? So you're talking about a between the high and the low, $2.31 within 2 minutes. It literally went boop, and then came right back up. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And then I immediately sold on the next one because it broke the high of the run here, and I was not even really sure what the hell was going on. So yeah, I took my profit. Now, granted, that would have been an amazing thing to ride up, obviously, for the rest of the day. But yeah, that wasn't the plan. So I'd like to, in a perfect world, be like, yeah, guys, I totally had that read. I knew it was going to $75, and I got filled at 34.25. I think was my actual bid. Uh, yeah, it was 34.25 because it came down to 34.22. Yeah, weird. I don't know. We take those. Mark 227 to 224. I actually didn't take a trade on Mark, but we're gonna go look at the zone anyways, just to see what I was looking at. And wow, yeah, Mark had some really really crazy continued action all the way upwards. But you can see, like I mentioned earlier, and we'll go back to BTX and use that as an example. But when price trends like this, the likelihood of it falling off and not having continuation is more likely. The sharper it is like this is an unhealthy move. This means when I see these green candles all in a row like that, I go uh-oh. This looks like a nightmare. And I mean, you could literally bought it at any point and made money. That's pretty nuts. But it got up here, it tussled around with this area, and then it sold off. My zone at 914 would have been, so right here. I made a zone at 227. Then at 224. So yeah, if you look over here on the 10-minute chart, 224 is the body of this candle, the body of this candle, and then on the 5-minute chart, the wick of this candle. I considered doing the body of this candle and the body of this candle on the 5, but then I realized that was only going to be like a 2-cent zone. And I was like, well, if a move that is this high up comes down to fill my zone, it's probably going to do more than a 2-cent move, with this, when it's moving like this. So, but anyways, I obviously didn't get filled. And I didn't even set bids because I saw this action up here. I saw the kind of slow sell off, and I was like, I don't even want involved in that when it comes down. So I could have gotten in right here, and I guess made 3 cents on the day or whatever. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about the zones since people ask about how I make them, just to kind of, what you guys saw in chat. I wanted to give you guys examples of how those came to be. So let's go to the next, see what else I took today. Yeah, I accidentally got filled on one bid of BTX. Made the biggest trade of the day. That's what I said. That's funny. At 9:34, yeah. Nothing there, I guess. Okay. So I said we'll go look at OCGN, which I never got filled on. I considered it, but OCGN and BTX were happening at the exact same time, and I took a huge trade on BTX. And I was at one point I'm literally sitting in Chuck E. Cheese on my phone, thinking to myself, OCGN is a more sure thing. It's a smaller risk, probably a more reasonable trade, man. What are you gonna do? But then BTX, I watched it for about 30 minutes, and I was like, nah, I got this, dude. I know exactly what it's doing, and it ended up being the correct decision. But OCGN 1016, so it would have been right here, 1016. So, yep. After it pushed up this big move right here, I saw this trend action, and I was like, okay, it had stopped dead right here at 13.2, and then was kind of playing around with a 13 area, and I was like, okay, cool. This is almost a it'll potentially reject. I can fill it in a zone down here, and then maybe take it back up. And my zone was 1254 down to 12.4, 1254 down to 12.4. Now, if we come look at these 5-minute candles, you can see these zones are created off of these wicks of these 10s, the body of these two 10s, all the bodies of these 5s. That's how that zone was created. And it would have been when did I say? 10-16. So yeah, obviously, it was close at one point. It came in, and this is right when I was watching, and I was actually like, come on, dude, please don't tap me in. 6 cents or 8 cents or whatever. I think I'd rather just take BTX. But yeah, that's how I made that zone. My PT would have been down here below this price action, because this is the move that brought us up. And if it failed through, where it was before it started to rally, then I know that it's probably rallying downwards from that point forward. So it was right down there. It was actually at 12.25. Yeah, okay, 12.25. So I gave myself 15 cents, did my bids accordingly, and then quit. And I was all on my phone at this point, which is why people ask me a lot, like, why do I use Thinkorswim charts and Webull charts? Like, it confuses people. And I said this yesterday, but anytime, you can tell when I'm no longer in my office and I'm at work, because anytime you start seeing me post Webull charts, I'm on mobile at Chuck E. Cheese. Anytime I post Thinkorswim charts, I'm at home, sitting at my desk. So, yeah, that's a very easy distinction. If you're ever just curious, if you're ever just curious where I'm at in the day, that's a good way to tell. But anyways, yeah, it obviously didn't come down to fill me. It had a little rally up to 13.37 before, eventually taking out the rest of the day. But decent trend upwards. I mean, this is a lot better action than we saw yesterday. You could have, taken a few different ads here on this before it eventually did sell off. Like, if you saw this descending series of 10-minute candles all like this, you would know that, okay, it's done for the day. It's a pretty obvious sign. When the big picture trend is telling you, we're arching off, that would have been a good sign not to take it. But I didn't take it anyways. So I will show you guys. Maybe I can pull it up, actually. Let's see. BTX. Yeah, it was just absolutely crazy today. So here is that example of trend I was talking about. Now, when a trend is super sharp like this, the odds of it not having continuation when it does finally give is very likely. The tighter the trend, the less likely it is to have continuation when it does finally break through that trend. Sometimes if it's like a trend that's like really slanted and it's, something like this, it has a whole lot more space to kind of breathe and contract, right? To kind of expand and contract. But when it's really tight like this, the first instance of decent selling, when a trend is this narrow, the first instance of significant selling, it's like, you come down quick. That's why, generally speaking, I will factor in the sharpness of the trends, especially on the shorter time frames. When I am considering, like, okay, do I want my zone lower or do I want my zone higher? Like, do I feel like I can catch it up here at the high? Or is that a bad idea because the trend is so damn sharp? Now, I'll show you what I was looking at here. So, I hate when those candles look like that. So, at 10:18, I said BTX is respecting 47.12 down to 46.29. But the downside risk is so high, which means that, the trend was super sharp. The price had really just rocketed up there that I was like, if it does break that level, that 47.12 to 46.29 area that it was, consolidating in, if it broke down through that, there was a, fucking $4 before it reached previous price action. Let's see, where was that? Was that right here? No, it was right here, right here, right here. Yep. So let's take a look at this, right? So here at 1018, I had a zone 43 down to 42. So let's do that one first. 43 down to, wait, what was it? 43 down to 42. Yeah, 42. Good enough. And that was based off of, you can see the wick of this 5, the wick of this 10. You come over here, wicks on the 10. So that's how I created that zone. And then price goes up here, right? And I was, hoping it would come back down to this. Because actually, I mean, these are $2 increments. This is really what it looked like, which paints a little bit of a different picture, right? It skyrocketed up here. And I was like, okay, well, if it doesn't hold this level, what did I say? 47.12. Close enough. Down to 46.29. I said, if it doesn't hold this level and it breaks down to like this 45 range, you're seeing a plunge. And the nearest price action isn't until $43. So I was, even though this was happening and it was, it's a flag and consolidation, boom, you know what I mean? Over here on the 10, you can see just real tight consolidation. The downside risk was significant. The upside risk was, pretty damn good as well, but the downside risk was it was so much gap right there off of just the singular candle, the singular action right here that brought it to this level. So I said, based on the sharpness of the trend, just like I mentioned earlier, I was like, you know what? I'll actually just take this zone. I'm not going to mess with this zone. And so I watched the stock for about 30 minutes. I watched through all of this action, and then I watched the pop up here. And this is probably where, most people who were watching BTX when I had my good trade were probably watching. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can show you guys the picture of Discord so that you guys can see what I was talking about here. Yep. So I said BTX respecting this zone, but the downside risk is so high, I want the better fill. And that's what I was looking at. 47.12, 46.29, 43, 42. I'm on my phone, so it's very hard to get it to the correct cent, but I did mention it right here. I'll take BTX 43 to 42. And then I said, damn, I really could have taken that 46 zone. And I could have. I mean, it was consolidating tightly in here. 46 was really like, you come down to 46 even. Dude, that was, I mean, if you took ads at 46 right here, you were pretty much in the money for the rest of the trade. And then obviously you would have caught a huge, $6 move, which is nuts. Nutso. But because I was sitting here studying and watching the action and seeing the 10-minute here in these, the 10 and the 5, because this, how do I say this? Because this took so long to take place, you can see that it actually lessens the sharpness of the trend, right? Does that make sense? So real sharp trend, sideways trading. Brings us up. Okay, now it's a little sharp again, sideways trading. Now doing that takes it from, you can see how, like, let's just draw a sharp trend line. That's the trend, right? But then as it trades sideways, it actually widens that trend out a bit. You see that? That's a pretty, poor explanation, but so then it skyrockets up here, so you can push trend here, and then what's it do? It trades sideways to expand that trend a little bit, to give that trend rest. So the trend, by doing this sideways trading, this tight consolidation for, I mean, this is almost an hour's worth of, 30 minutes worth of consolidation here. on both of these. And by doing that, it causes the trend to have significant rest so that it's not nearly as sharp. Now, at first, it was pretty damn sharp with consolidation, which is why I, wanted this zone wherever it was, right? But then as I saw it come up here and do this, just like it had done down here, where it kind of extended the zone, and kind of instead of taking it like this, it gave the zone more room because it traded sideways and it pushed the zone wider. And by doing that, I said, okay, I'm confident then, or at least confident enough to put a position down, make it and call out in Discord that on this rally, I think that if it does something similar, and on the big picture especially, if it can have that tight consolidation of range to kind of keep expanding that trend out, keep giving that period of rest, then I'm actually cool with taking a high up zone with big downside risk. And, obviously you don't make your stop all the way down here at the previous zone. You have really tight risk management. But the important thing is to know that the higher up your zone gets on a stock that's been running, like if a stock runs 100%, the higher up you move your zones to meet where the price will pull back to, the less and less likely that those moves are to work well, right? Because buy up, buy up, buy up, buy up. There's it's gonna sell off at some point. And if you're just like, okay, this zone didn't work, let's move one up here, let's move one up here, let's move one up here, and you're eventually way up here creating your zone, it's got a less chance of continuing because that's what it's done all day. With each significant continuance of move, it becomes less and less likely as it's growing up that it's going to continue going up, unless it has these significant signs of price consolidating, people respecting an area, a range, the trend becoming less sharp. So then what happened was I said OCGN I still like, and then it pops, right? And I said, if BTX reaches 50 to 48.6 before another rally, it'll go all-time high. Now, I actually thought all-time high was, somebody had posted it, I guess they deleted it. Somebody had posted and said all-time high at 59.25, but it was actually not. That's what I was talking about, though. I said it'll go to 59.25 if before it continues to rally, it comes down to 54 to 486. I said this at 10:36. So at 10:36 right here, I said 50 down to, what was it? 50 down to 48.6. 48.6. As you can see, the candles were based off of wick here, wick here, wick here, wick here, wick here. You come over here and, this previous price action you saw. So that's how I based those zones. You could have probably even, brought it down to down there to 47.9. That would have probably even been a better zone. But, I made it how I did off of that. Sometimes when I am making zones, I'll be like, no, not down here, maybe up here at this wick, just to give myself a smaller zone. And it doesn't always mean a better zone. It just means, obviously in this situation, it could have been better had I utilized these bodies down here a little bit better. But anyways, still, when the move is $2.50 up, to call a $2 price drop, within 6 cents or what, 9 cents is, we'll take it. We'll take that 100% of the time. I actually had descending bids, and I was tapped in full. My stop loss was actually at, I believe I said in chat, let me see, 47. So yeah, that was my chart. So as you can see, this is what I was looking at. This is how I based 48.6 off of, on my 5-minute chart on Webull. Now I have, some charts do look different than others. As you can see here, 48.6 wasn't as on top of these bodies like it was in this, right? This might have been a 10-minute chart, actually. I don't know. But regardless, that's how I based it when I was on my phone. And it came down, filled me real well, maintained. Remember when I spoke earlier, I said I like to see trends when they go up. I like them to come back down to the previous highs, continue that line in the sand before springboarding upwards. And boy, did it go. I was filled in full right here. Stop was down here at 47. And, obviously I didn't oversize and YOLO lottery or anything like that. I figured that it would have to cave through this price action. This would give me about $1.50 worth of risk. And I took a position size according to my max risk to make this equate to 2% of my account or whatever. Anyways, it came down here. It filled me great. It came up here back to test this zone. And I said, maybe I should take profit at this 52. It was battling at 52. And then she just went, dude. And as soon as I saw 56 show up on my level 2, now I'm on my phone at this point, remember? So I'm literally just looking at level 2 on my phone with my finger over the sell button. And as soon as I saw 56, the number 56 appear on the level 2 on the ask side, I immediately said sell. And I got filled like right at 56. So I ended up taking a damn near $8 move. And what's even more impressive is, or impressive, yeah, listen to me over here. Yeah, it's fucking impressive, dude. Oh my God, I'm so good. Now, what was more awesome about the play, and just, man, I tell you what, I was like, after I had sold my position and I was sitting at work, I was like, dude, I'm not looking at stocks for the rest of the day, bro. That was nuts. But yeah, it came down here to within 6 cents, 8 cents, $2.50 worth of range, and I got it down to about 8 cents of a zone. Filled me in full, went $8. I sold. I made everything back I lost the earlier days this week and earlier trades in the day. It was an amazing, amazing trade. Now, the only reason I was comfortable with this, most people seeing this action here would say, oh God, this is a terrible time to buy in. But remember, I base my zones off of previous price levels. So I feel confident in, those levels having some kind of interaction with the current price of the stock because it was previous stock price interaction. And again, like I said, it was very crucial for me to see this ticker creating a sharp trend, resting to expand the angle of the trend, resting to expand. So instead of it being like this, it, by price resting and pushing it, it slowly became like that, you see. Still pretty damn sharp. You can see that after it finally did cave, it it kind of went till the end of day, and then I don't even know what the fuck happens in after hours. I have no explanation for that. I honestly don't know why this stock is doing this, period. It's just got a really low float. It hasn't had like any amazing news or anything like that. It's just crazy. But yeah, that was an amazing trade. And I was like, you know what? I'm done for the day. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my work day. Obviously, I said, I popped off. We fucking out here. Big dicks. Nothing makes sense. I love stocks. All that good stuff. Put away the heels. We're not stripping tonight. Anyways, so thank you all for, I was obviously popping off, so I appreciate everybody showing me support while I popped off instead of being like, oh my God, shut up. To have everybody hype me, it's a good feeling. But I was like, yeah, I'm done with stocks for the day, dude. I'm out of here. I just, it's just one of those moves where you're like, that's it. The day, you can't compare the rest of the day to that. It was just an amazing move. But I actually did come back a couple hours later. I was bored at work. I was on I took lunch at like 1:30. And RHE was running, a stock that I actually had a loser on yesterday because I traded it as it halted. Yeah, right here. As you can see. And I came into Discord and I totally forgot I had a conference call. And I said, yo, I like R8 at 152. So it would have been 152. Really? I don't know how to do military time very well, guys. Give me a second. 152. Yeah, I guess that would have been it. I said 5.3 to 28. $5.3 to 28. You can just go look at your own charts to see how I base those levels. But it looks like it was based off of this wick and this body. So yeah, that was right here. in this range. So yeah, it ended up filling me and then continuing, right? But I was on a conference call as this took place, so I didn't even get a chance. I came back later and somebody in Discord was like, "Yo, dude, great call," and I was like, "What?" And I went back and looked, and yeah, it tapped in at least the top of my zone. So assuming I had done descending bids, we probably would have gotten filled on one, maybe two bids, and then caught it for a damn. I wouldn't have shot for that high though. Realistically, I would have shot for 9.5, half dollar high of the run, and I would have got it. That's almost a whole dollar. That's a whole dollar at that point. So congrats to whoever took it. I guess it wasn't me. I was on a conference call, and I have to use my cell phone for conference calls, so I can't actively trade. It's like Zoom. It's like a video conference. So that sucks. As soon as I got done with that, I went and looked and was like, oh, okay, well, that's the stock deities telling me, you missed that move because you don't need to be traded. And I said, okay, cool. And Chuck E. Cheese was hella busy today, so I didn't really have a whole lot of time after that anyways. But that's it for today, man. That was a move I'll be remembering for a good while. That BTX was, man, that's just one of those plays, That's just one of those plays. It was awesome. But overall, I had a really solid day. I think I would have had one or two losers on the whole day. And then the winners I did have were really clean, 40-cent move, 30-cent move, and then an $8 move. So yeah, pretty good stuff, man. I'm really, really proud of that. Really happy with that today. So that's it. It is now the weekend. I hope everybody enjoys your weekend, man. Take the time off. I know that if you guys are like me, you would trade Saturday, Sunday. You would never take a day off. I totally understand, but use this opportunity to dig through that mega link, look up some videos, do some research, do some on demand, and give your nerves some time to relax. I think that the weekend is necessary, even though it does sometimes feel a bit long. But I'll be around if you guys have any questions at any point this weekend. Obviously, you're always welcome to reach out. I try my best to respond to all of my Discord DMs. I don't think I have any currently. So I think I'm caught up, but if I did miss you, message me again, comment on YouTube or whatever. I try to stay on top of that stuff as well as I can. But thank you guys so much for hanging out, and I will see you guys again pretty soon.